My guess would be is just related to inflammation. Sometimes you don't even if I have a bad day, I fly off the rails, I wake up with marshmallow face. And my weight isn't always affected, but I'm just like, whoa, I look like a different person. So my guess is if you're eating more anti-inflammatory foods, your body is just not holding on to so much water because it's not protecting itself because you're not irritating your immune system. So my guess is I can see it in people immediately when they switch to a better diet, especially in their face, in their eyes.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. And today I have Autumn Smith, and she co-founded Paleo Valley with your husband Chaz. And this was after you battled different health issues, and you are the co-founder of Paleo Valley, which is just such a great online resource that has such great information. The products are amazing. And I know that you co-host the Optimize Paleo Podcast, which is one of my favorite to listen to. So everyone, please welcome Autumn Smith. Welcome.
Yay. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here and glad that you are enjoying the podcast and the products. We work really hard. So that means a lot.
So I know that you had some frustrations with quote healthy foods that were on the market and all of their crazy ingredients, which drive me crazy too. So you created a bunch of your own. How did your Paleo Valley product line come to be?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I was in the fitness world before I transitioned over into this kind of nutrition wellness realm. And I found paleo. It helped kind of ameliorate my irritable bowel syndrome that I suffered from for 15 years. Everyone told me there was no way to cure it, but I did it with diet and it was amazing. But then I went away on a tour and I wasn't able to maintain the lifestyle because there wasn't anything available. So I was in a different country basically every day. And it's not that these countries didn't have the food. It's just that it wasn't readily accessible. And I didn't always know what those other ingredients were. So when I came back from the tour, my husband and I decided, this paleo thing's really important. It's been the missing piece for us health-wise. And we need to be able to not only share information, but also facilitate this lifestyle with the products. And so we just started taking a look at what's on the market, more importantly, what's not on the market. Mm-hmm. And our flagship product, our beef sticks, what we noticed about all beef sticks is they contain this awful little ingredient called encapsulated citric acid. And it's basically, it's designed to drop the pH, right? But what it contains hydrogenated oil, which we all know is a disaster, and derived from GMO corn. So that melts into the product and it's allowable and you don't have to label it. That's just the standard. So we decided to ferment them like our ancestors did so that not only we could avoid that ingredient, but also there's probiotics in it. And basically all of our products are the result of us just finding this gap in the market. Either it wasn't available or people were cutting corners. And so that's how our product line came to be. We just want to give this help to other people.
Yeah. And so one of the things that you have on there, and we're going to give it away, did you want to give away the Essential C complex or the grass-fed organ complex?
We can give away one of each.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to give away one of each of those. And this is the thing that I absolutely love about your products is that there is no magnesium stearate and there's no all these other ingredients that make you sick when you take them. So when you take vitamins, even if you go to Whole Foods, even if you get the best vitamins, there's so many that have magnesium stearate or vegetable stearate. I mean, just all these different ingredients that are terrible for your gut. So talk about those two products for just a second and what's exactly in them.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah. And that was the problem that we were having too. We were just all these really smart companies doing such beautiful formulations and then just adding this other stuff that just what? So our organ complex, this came about because I was pregnant. And I love to feel good. And liver makes me do the happy dance. It's nature's multivitamin. It's amazing. Best source of B12 and vitamin A in natural form. It literally takes my energy to a whole new level. But I can't eat it. If you can eat it, that's amazing. And
it's awful. I know. Liver is, I don't know how anyone can eat it. I think it's absolutely disgusting. disgusting.
I know, and I tried so hard. I did the liver pate, all the things, but I couldn't choke it down. So we put it in capsules, along with a little kidney and a little heart, because all of the organs have different benefits of their own, and nothing else, just a gelatin capsule on this guy. No crap, nothing. This is a whole food vitamin. A lot of people all write in and say, are these synthetic bees, or, what amounts? And it's just like, we took the organs and we freeze dry them, obviously from grass-fed animals, of course, grass-fed and finished animals. And then we didn't add anything else, because I believe, nature knows better than we do. And then we have the vitamin C complex. Now, this little guy, I wanted a vitamin C because it's had a profound impact on my immune system, my mental health, and all of it, most of it, something like 90% of vitamin C on the market is from GMO corn. And it's derived from China. Yeah. So I thought, you know what? I want those benefits. And it's funny because some studies show that, synthetic vitamin C does have some benefits. But I think you're buying basically, when you're doing the synthetic version, that's just one part of the vitamin C complex, and all the other things you're going to get from food. It's kind of like just buying a steering wheel instead of the car. So this is just the world's most potent natural sources of vitamin C.
So let's talk about vitamin C for a second, because I'm a huge proponent of vitamin C. And the biggest thing with vitamin C is, like, there's been studies where there's this one guy who talks about vitamin C, and he's like, it doesn't matter what I have. If I have some kind of illness, he'll literally take like 15 vitamin C, and like in the next day or two, he's healed, because it's such a powerful tool for healing. And the problem is if you go even to Whole Foods, my office is literally across from Whole Foods. If you walk over there, if you have 10 vitamin C, first of all, you're going to have the worst diarrhea you've ever had. Your stomach is going to be upset. You know what I mean? And it's terrible. And the ingredients that you have in your vitamin C is phenomenal, like one of the top best. So I'm just so impressed with your product. So I'm so excited. Thank you for being so generous. And we're going to do a Facebook giveaway. Go to our Facebook page, and we'll have it in the show notes of exactly where that is. But for the Essential C complex and that grass-fed organ complex, those two are like, do not pass go, do not collect $200, get them. And those, or 100% grass-fed beef sticks, those are delicious. My husband he eats grass-fed, these beef sticks like they're going out of style.
Does he? It's so good. And just so people know, they're not like most beef sticks on the market, because or they're like less jerky likes that like kind of make your jaw tired. They're more like those hickory smoked summer sausages you get around Christmas time in terms of the taste and texture. Is that your experience too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you told me that one of the things that you are passionate about is educating people on micronutrient deficiency, which can just rear its head in everything from dandruff to weight gain to high blood pressure. And it's such a big issue. Can you talk a little bit about that micronutrient deficiency?
Yeah, of course. And so I've been kind of in this wellness space for like 5 years. And what I've noticed is the people who come to me and need help in this area, they're looking at the macronutrients. Now, macronutrients are just carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Those are so important, and tweaking the ratios can have profound impacts on your health. I'm never going to argue that. But I think what we're missing is the bigger picture with these micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids, and the essential fatty acids that are actually the workhorses of the body. So if we work all day long on these macros, but we don't have the micronutrients that are going to run our immune system, that catalyze our metabolism, our health is still going to suffer. And the problem is like threefold, actually, that 95% of Americans are deficient in at least one nutrient. I'd say way more than that. And that's 300 million Americans. So the fact that it's really, really prevalent, it's an epidemic, actually. The second thing is that it's dangerous. And we know not only are you going to have these annoying symptoms like brittle hair and nails and skin issues and fatigue, but you're also going to significantly increase your risk of disease. Just vitamin D, for example, one study, a woman had lower levels. They increased their risk of cancer by by 200%. That's profound. Vitamin B12, if we have it, if we don't have enough, we can increase our risk of mental health issues and dementia. It's a big deal that I don't think is talked about enough. And the last thing I think I want to mention is just that it's silent. We don't always feel this. There are subclinical effects like for folate or vitamin B9. We're not going to wake up and notice that our DNA isn't being repaired. But that's what's happening, And so our body, what it does with these nutrients, micronutrients, is it triages them. So when we have some, it's going to prioritize our short-term survival over our long-term health. And why I think this is, obviously it's a problem if you want to live long, but I think today we're living longer, or we're going to start seeing an increase in this lifespan. And I hope that with more awareness around this issue, we can also increase the health span, or the time that you really, really feel good in your body and in those years. So that's why I think it's a big deal.
Now, another thing that you're passionate about is functional testing, which I know so many of our listeners would be interested in, because so many people want to know, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not feeling good? So we need to get your gut checked, your hormones checked, your antibodies, and just a bunch of other stuff. So what have you learned about functional testing, and can you talk about it for just a minute?
Okay, cool. So have you ever heard of functional diagnostic nutrition?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I just completed their program because same thing. People would come to me and I would have, these tools in the toolkit that I could change their diet and, we could tweak their lifestyle. But if I didn't ever get a glimpse into like what was happening inside their body, because the same symptoms can be caused by very different issues. And so it's about getting to the root cause. And that's where the functional testing comes in. So functional diagnostic nutrition is just a program that teaches me and allows me to order labs for people. Now, early in my career, I would have said, like testing for my food sensitivities really cleared up my skin issues, right? So I identified a garlic allergy or a garlic sensitivity that was just creating.
Oh my goodness. Garlic? Right? That's awful. I'm like obsessed with garlic. My husband's not crazy about the fact that I have so much of it, but I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, and I was juicing it and causing getting these just gigantic cystic acne everywhere. So that was helpful for me at that time. But what I've learned since is you're going to listen to a bunch of different podcasts. They're going to tell you about all these different tests. I've created a program that I'm launching with my good friend, Amanda Montalvo, where we do 2 tests. And my problem with functional testing is it's not readily accessible. Insurance doesn't always cover it. And so this program will be doing the best and highest quality and most cutting edge gut testing, the GI map, and also the Dutch testing for your hormones. That's important because if you have parasites, if you have yeast, if you have bacterial overgrowth, if you have a leaky gut, if you have unaddressed HPA axis issues, or your stress levels are out of control or have been, your healing, we don't know where to start. And we can throw a bunch of supplements at it and you can change your diet. But if your gut is not allowing you to absorb the nutrients and your stress levels are not allowing your body to relax and repair and restore, then you're not going to get anywhere, or you're not going to get to where we want you to be.
And how much are these tests? So let's say someone wanted to take those tests. Would they go to your site? Would they go to paleovalley.com? If someone wanted one of these tests, what would they do?
Yeah, I think reach out to me at autumn@paleovalley.com. No, I've designed this other program called Radiate in 28, which is kind of a prerequisite because it just takes people and it gets them over to a whole food lifestyle. Because I don't want to throw everything at them all at once. If we're going to implement some protocols, I want to do that after you've kind of got your feet under you and doing all of the dietary things. And then what we do is starting in March, we'll be offering this program. And for the 2 tests, it's going to be, I think the program is going to be like $997. And that's going to come with 3 months of videos, just 5-minute videos each day that teach you how to implement this lifestyle. It's going to come with support and it's going to come with personalized protocols.
Awesome.
That's good. Yeah, and not having to go and, have an appointment with a naturopath, which is money, and not downplaying that. If you can afford that, awesome. This is just for the people who can't necessarily.
Right. So before we get started with our listener questions, I want to ask you something I always ask all my guests. Walk us through a day in the life of Autumn. What do you eat in a typical day? And, what'd you eat yesterday? What'd you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What does your diet look like?
Okay, awesome. So in the morning, I try to intermittent fast. I always give my body at the very least 13 hours from the time I eat dinner, but usually, ideally between 16, sometimes even 18. So in the morning, I don't just do nothing. I do my golden milk. I love golden milk. Do you drink golden milk?
No, I don't. Tell me about it.
Okay, it's just I take either coconut milk or almond milk, and then you heat it up, and I add a little coconut oil. I add as much turmeric as my taste buds can handle that day, some ginger, just the tiniest bit of almond butter, and maybe a little stevia. Some people do honey. Cool with that wherever you are. But yeah, so I drink that, and my collagen. We have a bone broth protein powder that I put in there too, just to keep, my blood sugar stable, help my skin, hair, all the stuff. And so then I usually don't eat anything until lunch. And then I make my kitchen sink salad. And all I do there is it's like my goal to get at least 10 different vegetables in this salad. So it's kind of like a game. And then I top it with organic olive oil, usually apple cider vinegar, and some sort of protein. It just depends on how lazy I am. Sometimes our beef sticks, sometimes salmon, whatever, And then for dinner, usually like vegetables. And last night we had this amazing steak that my husband cooked, a New York strip, and it was really awesome, and Brussels sprouts. And then I usually have more tea somewhere in there. If I'm going to do some snacking, it's usually something like almonds or an apple, or I make these chocolate fat bombs. I have chocolate every day, but like super high quality, because I used to be really strict with my diet, and I realized you have to love your life and you have to love what you're eating. So basically, yeah, lots of vegetables, fruits.
So tell us about this chocolate bomb that you eat. What is that? What's in that?
I love this. Okay, so in my chocolate bomb, I take raw cacao and probably, I think I do like a cup, and then I'll do like a cup of coconut oil, and then I do my bone broth protein powder, and then maybe 2 dates. That's it. And I spin it up, and then I will melt it, obviously, put it in a blender, and then I pour it into these little molds. And I'm someone who really likes a little texture, so I'll chop up almonds and put it in there. And then, so I just have these little heart-shaped silicone molds because I have a baby or a toddler, and he likes those. And then we put them in the fridge, and then just whenever I'm needing some chocolate, there it is. Chocolate has so many benefits.
Awesome. I just made these ginger cookies. And if you go to chantelrayway.com/recipes, it'll be up there probably tomorrow. And it is going to be like, you will love them. They're made with almond flour, but I believe they are the best paleo cookies you can find. They're paleo, they're vegan, they are like to die for. So they're just amazing. Awesome. Yeah, you have to try. I need to send you some. You have to send Allie your address, and I'll mail you a couple because they are that good. Every person who's tried them, I was like, maybe I need to just sell these because they are that good.
Yes, please send them to me because my little guy loves a good cookie. And if I can give him a cookie, yeah, great.
So would you say, like, if you had to say, like, 95% of your diet is paleo, 100%, like, is there ever a day where you say, you know what, today I'm having X? What does that look like for you?
For sure. For the last few years, I go through seasons. I think it's helpful to go through seasons, and I actually do like a paleo keto because that's really good for me 3 times a year. And then the other times, once or twice a week. I feel like deriving pleasure from your food and truly enjoying what you're eating, but making it a special occasion is really, really important. And I definitely do that. So I'd say when I'm not in my keto, I do like 28-day challenges. I'd say, 80, 90%.
80, 20, 80 or 90, yeah.
And that's for me too. In my book, I talk about eating 80% of your diet is paleo because it's fruits, vegetables, and lean meats. And then 20% eating whatever you want. But I'm getting ready to roll out another edition of my book. And what I'm going to talk about is if you have some of these chronic illnesses, like thyroid issues, autoimmune issues, rheumatoid arthritis, all these different things, then you might have to go to 95%. You know what I mean? Depending on where your health stage is at. 80-20 is kind of, if your health is good, things are going good. But if you are in a position where your thyroid's not functioning, this isn't functioning, you've got to really be closer to that 95%.
So true. And did you do the autoimmune?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I have some thyroid issues, some autoimmune issues, some psoriasis. So I have to really keep things really dialed in. Otherwise, my thyroid doesn't function as well. My, psoriasis starts coming back, all of that. So I have to be careful. Hey guys, we absolutely love getting your questions into the podcast, but we're also interested in your journey. So if you've started intermittent fasting and have some success or even struggling a little bit, we want to hear about it. Email me your intermittent fasting stories to Chantel@ChantelRayWay.com. Now back to the show. All right, let's jump in. This is from Carol in Arkansas. I was at one of my favorite local restaurants last week and requested my sandwich on a gluten-free bun, but I immediately felt horrible afterwards. My stomach was in knots and I felt so icky the rest of the day. I figured that they accidentally gave me regular bread, which has happened before. Next time this happens, which hopefully it won't, what should I do to counteract this gluten attack?
For me, I would do... if I ever do that, because it's funny. I used to be able to get away with a little gluten, not anymore. So I always do, activated charcoal will help. It will bind to all those toxins. It will relieve. And then also digestive enzymes. I don't know. Do you know who Dr. Tom O'Brien is?
I don't.
Oh, really? Okay. He's this amazing gluten expert, and he's actually created like a Glutenese line. So you can get these, I think it's called Glutenese. Yeah. And you can buy it, and just for when you get glutened accidentally, you can take it. And then the other thing is, on top of those two, I would definitely be really focused on just reducing the inflammation. So I would get some bone broth going. I would add some turmeric. I would add some ginger. I would really be concerned with my diet and all of those anti-inflammatory foods for the next part of the diet. And then probiotics, obviously. Do you have a favorite probiotic?
Yeah, I do. Actually, it's under Chantel Ray Way. Things I love. It's under there. My only concern with the probiotic that I love is that I think it's like, I got to look at the count, but it's such a high dosage of it that it's called VSL number 3, and it's called probiotic medical food, and it's high potency probiotic capsules, and the problem is it's 112.5 billion live lactic acid bacteria. And it's literally the highest available concentration of live bacteria. And so I get it from Amazon. It's very expensive. I was taking too many of them for a while. I've really kind of calmed down a little bit on my probiotic take. I'm not taking as much as I used to. But I'm really focusing on taking, like, I love your organ complex, the essential C. So I don't take it all the time. I think it's good for you to kind of change it up a little bit and not always take the same probiotic, change things up so your body's not so used to it.
Yeah, I love that. And I really like Just Thrive, if you've ever talked about that, or Megaspore Biotic. Have you ever talked about that one?
No, I haven't.
Okay. The cool thing about it is just that it's, this microbiologist, Kiran Krishnan, created it, and he is incredibly intelligent. And he saw the problem with most, like VSL. I know that's a pretty good quality one. Most probiotics don't even survive the trip through the digestive tract. And so this one is spore based, and it does. And they've clinically tested that it healed leaky gut in, I think, 100% of participants in their clinical trial. Anyway, It also has like this one strain that produces antioxidants right at the site. So this one for me has really revolutionized my health. So
And it's called Just Thrive, right?
Yeah. So Megaspore Biotic is the one with, it has a few more strains, but it's only available through practitioners. But then they've created more consumer-friendly Just Thrive, which you can get anywhere on their website, also on Amazon. And it has a few less strains, but also is as effective and is also used in the clinical trials. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, Pamela in Forest, Virginia. She says, I developed a really bad staph infection and had no choice but to take an antibiotic, which I absolutely hate to do. I was scared and didn't want it to spread. Anyways, I'm done with that antibiotic and my staph infection is gone. And now I want to get my butt. Did we just do this question? No, we just were talking about, she said, but I want to get my gut back in order. What can I do to get my gut health in check after wrecking it with antibiotics? I was just like, wait a minute. We were just talking about the answer to this question. Did I just ask this?
Yeah, kind of. But for me, I would definitely make sure that you're not eating any inflammatory foods that are going to further kind of damage the grains, the sugar, the dairy for a while. And then also, adding probiotics, not only in probiotic form, but also in food form. So, sauerkraut, raw sauerkraut, things like if you eat kimchi, I don't know if your listeners are open to that. Our beef sticks, they're fermented. Kombucha, if you can find like a low sugar version, I think that's a great option. And probiotics. I have a few that I like. Just Thrive is one I really like. Sometimes it's kind of crazy. You want to test before you just throw like a bunch of probiotics because you don't really know what the composition of your gut microbiome is. And so it's always a good idea if you have that available. I also really like Dr. Grace Liu. Do you know her?
No, I don't.
Okay. She's got a great probiotic as well. But that's what I would do.
Awesome.
Probiotics, food form.
All right, this is from Mariah in New Mexico. My friend has been obsessed with alkaline water lately, and she swears by it. I saw it for sale by the gallon at my local juice bar the other day and asked the cashier about it. She said I should start with a level 7 because if I started with a level 10, I could become ill and get a migraine since I'm not used to alkaline water. It struck me odd that any sort of water could make me sick. And then I remembered something about you said about how you aren't a fan of it when eating, but I couldn't remember why on your last podcast. What is your opinion on alkaline water and why? I'll let you go and then I'll give my opinion on it.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. So my opinion on alkaline water is, it depends. I don't use it. I don't use any artificially alkaline water. Like my water comes from a spring. And so it'll have these minerals. It'll be slightly alkaline. But I think that, anything that's going to make you dizzy, give you migraines, that means you're probably too alkaline to begin with. And that's not, you need a balance in the system. And like she was mentioning, if you drink it too close to mealtime, I've seen a lot of people drink it and then have undigested food in their stool. We need acid in our stomach because we have to break down the proteins. It also, if we don't have it, we're not going to be protected from all these microorganisms that are potentially harmful. So the acid's really important. I definitely would never drink it around mealtime. And if you're just dead set on trying it, I would definitely do something that's naturally alkaline if you really want to go that route. But I've never worried about it. And so it's not something I recommend.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing is, your stomach produces hydrochloric acid, which is HCl on demand. And when it does, it also creates sodium bicarbonate. And so those two, HCl and sodium bicarbonate, are produced. It's also produced based on what you eat or drink. And so you want to, if you're drinking alkaline water while you're eating, you want that stomach acid. The whole point of stomach acid is, people think, oh, stomach acid's not good. No, stomach acid is what you need to digest your food. And a lot of people, with all of their issues that they have, one of their biggest issues is they're not digesting their food properly. And so that is my problem with alkaline water, especially when you're, first of all, I don't think you should be drinking water when you're eating anyway, because again, it goes back to you want as much stomach acid as you possibly can. And that's been an issue for me, is my digestion of my food. So that's why I'm really big on eating. Like, the most important thing to me is eating alkaline foods like vegetables, leafy greens, salads, that's what you need to focus on. And this idea that alkaline water is going to be the end all cure all. My thing is, you need to have clean water that doesn't have a bunch of chemicals. That portion of it I do like, is when I'm not eating, having clean, pure water and having it filtered. The idea of that I love.
Yes, couldn't agree more, because you will find balance if you're eating the right kinds of foods for your body. So yeah, awesome.
All right, this is from Karen in Northern Virginia. I recently started eating paleo and I'm really enjoying the energy I'm feeling during the day, but I'm having the hardest time sleeping. I've also noticed when I do sleep, I'm having really weird, vivid dreams. I was reading online that this is common for people who cut out sugar. Why is this, and will I go back to normal soon? Karen in Northern Virginia.
Interesting, right? Okay, so I noticed a few dream changes when I transitioned, and generally, like, having vivid dreams isn't really a bad thing. It shows that you have like cortical arousal, your brain is working, you're probably getting more REM sleep. So those are all really good things. There was even a study about vitamin B6. When you increase vitamin B6, and I think this was done in supplemental form in the study, but I think that foods that you'll be eating in paleo probably have more B6 than you would if you were eating the standard American diet. And that was shown to increase dream recall and make dreams more vivid. But then there's also this other piece is, is there anything else you're doing? Like, are you taking any medications like SSRIs and blood pressure medications? They can also increase your dreams, make them more vivid. I notice, and this is the strangest thing, and there's no literature that I'm aware of to talk about this, but if I eat like really poor quality food, specifically animal products, I don't know what it is, I will have violent dreams. Very strange. I don't know what it is. It's just been a few times when I go out to this restaurant, and but yeah, so I would say if you're having trouble sleeping, you might want to look. I always go first to your blood sugar and what are you eating? You might be eating paleo, but are you stabilizing? Are you making sure that you're not just substituting the sugar in your diet formerly for, natural sugars, which are maybe better, but can still keep you on that blood sugar roller coaster. And then what I found to be really important is eating like high quality protein at night and a little carb. Sometimes I do my golden milk with a little honey and the bone broth protein, and that really, really helps me sleep. But I'd say it's not usually a bad thing. And it just means your brain is probably alert and you're getting better sleep, unless you're just actually not sleeping at all, and that's a different story. But I would definitely start your blood sugar, and I wouldn't worry about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that I wouldn't worry about the dreams. I think that does mean that you actually are getting into a lot deeper sleep than possible. Yep. And I think one of the things is that you, with me, especially like when I'm doing 100% paleo, the amount of energy I have is just amazing. That's the biggest thing, is that you just have so much energy. And so you're not quite ready. So the one question I would have is, what is the caffeine level? So that is one thing that you have to be careful with, because if you, let's say someone's normally drinking 3 cups of coffee. When you're eating a paleo diet, one of the biggest things, and why I'm such an advocate of the paleo diet, is your thyroid functions when you're eating paleo at such an optimal level. Your thyroid literally, I mean, I've done tests because I'm like obsessed with getting my blood tested. And I'm just like out of control. Like my doctor's like, Chantel, we literally just checked your blood work a week and a half ago. I'm like, please, can you just check it again? I need to check because of this, and this. And so I like do my own little blood work studies, and I could do 1 week if I wanted to do of not eating paleo and look at where my thyroid is, and 1 week of me doing it and look at my thyroid numbers. It's unbelievable. So everything is functioning at such a much higher level. So if you are drinking, like, things affect you more. So like if I'm eating 100% paleo, if I drink a cup of coffee in the morning, that coffee is going to go into my like bloodstream more than, it's kind of like, think about alcohol. Think of the way alcohol affects when, like, if you had, let's say you had shrimp and nothing else but just some shrimp, and then you had like 2-3 shots of vodka versus having 2 big pieces of bread and then having that vodka. Well, how are you going to feel different, right? You're still, both of those, you had 3 shots of vodka, but how does your body feel? I can guarantee you that vodka is going to hit you like nobody's business, right? Yeah. So it's the exact same thing that happens with like caffeine and stuff like that. So if you're switching to a paleo diet and now you are eating or having the same amount of caffeine, you might have a harder time sleeping. So that's one of the things I would look at is not only when you're cutting out your sugar, but what are you cutting back on that caffeine? And I think that will make it'll be easier for you to sleep. That's
genius. Can I just say something? Because I think that's so important, and I forget because I'm pregnant and then breastfeeding. I haven't had caffeine in like 5 years, and it's always something I ask people to eliminate for at least 28 days, just to reevaluate your relationship. A lot of times people don't notice that it's at the root of your sleep issues. I love that you mentioned that. The second thing I just wanted to mention, because I forgot, if your immune system is more activated at night because you have parasites or, something going on in your gut, a lot of times people wake up then too. So just something to look at. And you can find out it's a blood sugar crash, usually between the hours of like 1 and 3 you're waking up. So that's kind of a clue there. That's all I got.
Awesome.
All right, this is from Lori from Sparks, Nevada. My question is that my scale has not moved and I have not lost inches, but I've looked at my Christmas photos and I look visibly smaller. My arms and my legs are way more trim. How is it possible for me to look thinner, but the scale and measurements haven't changed? I love your podcast. I listen every day at work. Lori from Sparks, Nevada.
Oh, you want to go?
You good.
Okay. Well, I would say my guess would be is just related to inflammation. Sometimes you don't even if I have a bad day, I fly off the rails, I wake up with like marshmallow face, and my weight isn't always affected, but I'm just like, whoa, like I look like a different person. So my guess is if you're eating more anti-inflammatory foods, your body is just like not holding on to so much water because it's not protecting itself because you're not irritating your immune system. So my guess is I can see it in people like immediately when they switch to a better diet, like especially in their face, in their eyes. That'd be my guess. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the main thing is muscle. The biggest thing that I see in people when they when they're doing intermittent fasting, they're not losing the pounds because they're losing fat and they're gaining muscle. And so for me, when I first started doing intermittent fasting, for the first 3 weeks, I didn't lose 1 pound. I felt like my clothes were fitting better. And finally on week 3, I lost 6 pounds. So that would have been like 2 pounds each week, but it took 3 full weeks to actually show it on the scale. And the key is intermittent fasting does help you burn fat, because once you're done, when your body is looking for fuel, it's using the fat instead of using the glycogen stores. So my favorite analogy that I love to give is that if you had $100 in your pocket right now, right? And you also had $100 in your bank account, your body, let's say you were going to buy something at the store that was $100. If you already had $100 in your pocket, you're not going to go drive to the bank and take out $100 when you've got $100 sitting in your pocket right now. So the same thing happens with your body when it's looking for energy. When it's looking for energy, it's not going to go to the bank to go get energy when you've got all that sugar right there and fuel in your body. Does that make sense? So that makes a lot of sense. So the whole point is that you're burning fat, but yet you're sometimes building muscle, because so for that in your picture, you might not be losing any actual weight on the scale, but your clothes are fitting better, you're losing fat and building muscle. I have to tell you this story. My personal trainer is like chiseled. He looks like one of those guys on the magazines. You know what I'm talking about? Where they have, like they just look chiseled all the time. And if you look at those people, they don't look like that all the time. I mean, they look like that for the day of the show, but they don't walk around like that. This trainer that I have, he walks around like that. Like if you said, hey, no, I'm not joking. Because he eats like that. Like, you know how the people get ready for the show? He eats like that all the time. So anyway, he said he went to the doctor, and you know how he had to wear one of those shirts where, you know, you put the sleeves in and the back is open. And he said he had a doctor that was 4'8". She was Indian. And she says to him, well, your BMI shows that you're obese. His test, his weight and everything looked like he's obese. Like if you saw this guy, he's chiseled, he probably has like 8% body fat at all given times. I mean, he's in perfect shape. And she says, your BMI shows that you're obese. She's like, I would like to suggest that you'd walk 2 times a week. And she's giving him advice on what to do because his BMI is showing that he's obese. So crazy. It's crazy. So you've got to really look at, hey, what are my measurements? What is, how do I feel? I mean, when you're in your kind of, fatter stage or not, so the bottom line for me is anyone I've seen for intermittent fasting, they pay more attention to how their clothes are fitting instead of their scale and how they look and how they feel. So the fact that you look great in your pictures, that's what really matters.
So true. I was a fitness trainer for Tracy Anderson, and I worked out so much. And I didn't never lose much weight on the scale. But people would see me and be like, oh my gosh, did you lose 30 pounds? And it's like, no, I'm a lot more muscular. So yeah.
All right, this next one is from Rosario. I don't know where she lives, but it says, so I know at some point I got to give up cheese. I've always loved cheese. All of a sudden, however, I've been tasting the salt immensely in the cheese. I did pray recently to the Lord to change my taste buds to the foods that he wants me to eat. I, like you, had hypothyroidism. I know that God is calling me to do it a natural way of eating. So, in paleo, I saw on a website that raw dairy cheese is acceptable. So in my case, what should I do? Rosario.
For me, I just love a little raw grass-fed cheese, like organic pastures. When I lived in California, I was there, and that was really cool. So my answer, though, depends on who are you? Like, what's your ancestry like? Do you have this, ability to digest dairy? Some people do, and some people don't. So what I do with me is I can eat it, but I got to make sure I space it out because I will start to get congested. My skin will start to break out. So I can get away with it. Sometimes it's just like not a daily thing for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the answer for you. I think it just means you got to really tune in and start paying attention and start seeing, is my immune system being activated? Are there symptoms? So could be, maybe, but yeah, you just got to experiment, I think. What do you think, Chantel?
Yeah, I agree 100%. For me personally, me and dairy do not get along well. They don't, we just don't do well together. If I want to still not feel great, but not terrible, I will incorporate some raw cheese in my diet. But I look at that as like that's kind of like my cheat is when I have that raw dairy cheese. But for people who, if you feel like $1,000,000, I have certain friends that when they eat cheese, they'll have raw dairy cheese and they feel like $1,000,000. For me, it's the same thing. The problems that happen, I get very congested. I have a lot of mucus that builds up when I have cheese. My face breaks out like crazy. So it's a matter of how does your body respond when you have it and how do you feel when you eat it? And that's really just very intuitive. And I think that's a good point is that for me, I can have it in very small amounts and not have anything major happen. But I always feel better when I don't. But like, again, I'm very big on not depriving myself. And so like, for example, every once in a while, I'm not a huge pizza lover, but every once in a while I'm like, I want pizza. So if I want pizza, I go, okay, I'm going to, like the other day, I made my own cauliflower crust pizza where I literally just took cauliflower, and I have a recipe on chantelrayway.com/recipes, but that's to die for. And then just put vegan cheese on top, marinara and vegan cheese. And now I feel like I'm really like just enjoying this amazing, piece of pizza. So yeah, it's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. And don't forget, we are going to be doing a giveaway of 2 of her amazing items. If you want to go check out Paleovalley.com, you can visit their shop. I cannot say enough great things about your products. Everything is just, it's Chantel Ray approved for me. I am a huge fan of your products. I think you guys have done a fantastic job, and a huge fan of your podcast. So thank you so much for being on our show today, Autumn.
It was amazing, and you're wonderful. Yeah, it was such a pleasure. And I just wanted to say, aside from the giveaway, if you guys want to go to our store and try anything, you can use the code AUTUMN10, and we'll just give you 10% off of everything because we love you so much.
Awesome. And that's Autumn, AUTUMN 10, and you get 10% off everything. That's fantastic. All right. And if you have a question that you want answered, go to questions@chantelrayway.com. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.